This is Jonathan Lane from Fan Film Factor, and today I am here with the lovely Alexandra Rexford, who is the newest addition to the Avalon Universe cast and crew. She's taking over the part of Commander Michaela Allenby of the USS Excalibur, a part that was previously played by Pixie Nariad. I know a lot of people are wondering what happened to Pixie. I'm told by Josh in a future interview that he will explain at least a little bit of what happened there. But at this point, it's going to be all about Alex today. So, welcome to Fan Film Factor and welcome to Avalon.
Thank you.
Yay! So, a little bit more about you. First of all, you're an actual actress. You know what you're doing, right?
As much as any actor does, I guess.
And now, what have you done previously as an actor?
Um, I've done a whole lot more theater. Like I have a degree in theater arts, acting and directing. But I've done a few different like small film projects, and so I was really, really excited to join the Avalon universe because this is so much fun.
Now, how did that happen? How did Josh find you initially?
Yeah, so he knows my agent, Kim Peace. And so he reached out to her asking, hey, I'm looking to recast and cast a few different roles for the Avalon universe. And so she's like, yeah, I've got a few people who might be interested in that. And so she sent it to me, and I was like, yes, please. Absolutely. So auditioned for him. And yeah, like a week or so later, he's offered me the role, and I said, yes.
Now, you said yes, please. Did that mean that you're a Star Trek fan and you're like, oh, cool, or are you not a Star Trek fan?
I
The answer
like
is okay.
I'm not a Trekkie, but I have always enjoyed Star Trek, largely because my mom is a Trekkie, and so that was something that she and I would watch together sometimes, and that was always fun. I am like my heart belongs to Lord of the Rings. That's the thing that I'm a nerd about.
That's what's precious to you.
You might say it is precious to me.
See what I did there? Uh, but is there a dog there?
A dog?
I heard a noise, or is that just Josh?
It was probably Josh.
But at least you know Star Trek, at
Yeah.
least a little bit. So now, are you familiar at all, or were you familiar at all before you got this part with the concept of Star Trek fan films?
Like I knew they kind of existed and that was a thing. I did not realize how big of a thing they actually are. So I was honestly really impressed by the number of fan film like groups that are out there and all of the time and the effort and the accuracy that goes into them. And then of course like the crafting of the stories and how they are part of like the original series and then how some are not. And so I do find the variety to be a lot of fun. And just the fact that people have taken this thing that they love so much and they're like, yeah, I want to add to these stories. Which, as a storyteller, I'm like, yes, of course. Why would you not want to do that?
Exactly. That's why we're
Yes,
here. That's why we do it. It's fun.
it
Uh,
is. It's so fun.
so when you were first contacted by your agent, did you go out and watch the various Avalon Universe films that Josh had already created? And
Yes, I hit play on the playlist on YouTube and watched them all.
so you were given the role then of Michaela Allenby, which obviously, as we said, was previously played by Pixie. Uh, Now I'm not sure how, because I'm not an actor myself. What happens when you're put into a role that somebody else originally or previously portrayed? Do you prepare yourself differently? Do you try to uh, you know, bring in any of the aspects that they gave to the character, or do you just start from scratch and make the character your own?
It honestly depends on the situation. And so sometimes, like, when you are in a show that, like, let's say for theater, that people have done 1,000 times, for instance, like Music Man, um, obviously, like, you're gonna go back and you're gonna watch the original because you want to get the whole storyline, you want to hear all the music and see how they did it. And maybe you draw some inspiration from those actors just to give you like some footing for it. Um, which I have done that in the past. For this one, I specifically did not watch the previous actress because Josh told me that he had a different vision for what he wanted Commander Allenby to look like. And so I specifically wanted to make sure that it was what he had in mind and then my interpretation of it without any additional stuff.
So then what did you do? You saw the script and then you had to figure out then who Michaela Allenby was for you. Did you discuss that deeply with Josh and thoroughly? Did he explain all that stuff? And what did he tell you? And what did you do to bring yourself to it?
Basically, that this was Commander Allenby's, it's her first time being in charge. And she's also a little bit of a legacy because her father was part of the whole Starfleet command and all that. He was a admiral. Yeah, an
Yeah.
admiral. And so that is part of that her episode of her taking over for the very first time and how like nerve-wracking that actually is, these shoes that she has to fill. And um so like that was actually like a lot of fun getting to be in that mindset of, okay, I've watched my dad do this my entire life. Now it's my turn, and oh my gosh, this is kind of a big deal. I hope I don't mess this up because this is outer space. Nobody can really come to help us. So it was good.
So how many days were you filming? Because you've just been in, it's just come out, Needs of the One. We're recording this before that, but how many filming days were required for that?
We did, I think there was three total. Yeah, three, four. There's four. I forgot about the fourth one.
It's like the Spanish Inquisition. Uh, you get that?
Yeah.
Uh, so 4 days of filming, and now were you prominent in all 4 of those days, or were some of them more other? Because I know that obviously there's other actors and actresses that did more stuff. So
Yeah. No, like the first day, it was kind of a all about Alex day. But then the next two were primarily the other storyline that's happening within the episode. Um, so that was a little bit more of a sitting around, but also like it's just fun to be on set and being like, yeah, what can I help with? Or yeah, sure, I can go do that.
what other things did
So
you help with when you were not?
a little bit of makeup, a little bit of running lines. I went and got food one time for everybody. But then it's also like, okay, cool, I get to just sit here and read my book and wait. That's nice too.
That's true. I've been on a set, and there's a lot of sitting around by people and just sort of waiting while other
Yeah.
people are getting things ready, like lights and sound and checks and all that stuff. But you said now you've done primarily theater. Do you see yourself in the future transitioning to do more film and or television and or stuff like that, or you want to stay in the theater? You want to do both? What's the
Primarily trying to transition more into television and film because I really like the oh, what's the right word for it? The subtlety of film acting, where you don't have to be quite as big as you do on stage in order to get across your facial expression and your physical movements. So it's, I find to be a little bit more challenging actually to do film. And it is kind of fun, um, like having it all broken down and like just doing these like little bits at a time, which then once you see the whole thing put together, it's just like, oh wow, that's how they make a movie, is because they did it just a little bit at a time. Um, so I just find the pacing to be really fun and kind of different, and the fact that you do have to be able to create those emotions kind of on the spot for the like sometimes only like 5 seconds of screen time. That's it. Whereas with theater, like, you know, you're building through it throughout the entire play or musical. So I like the challenge of film.
I guess the other difference is, when you're doing a scene in a play or a musical, and there's another person in that scene, that person is with you.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times when you're filming, it's just you and the camera, and maybe somebody outside is feeding you the line, but it's just, you are intimate with that camera.
Yeah. It
So
is. It's
yeah,
weird, but it's fun.
it's fun, to
Yeah.
to imagine that person who's looking at you over the shoulder or whatever. So now I've already read the script for the next Avalon. Well, actually, I shouldn't say the next Avalon. The next Avalon is going to be something called Knights of the Void, and you're not in that one, but that one's already been filmed. But the one that you're crowdfunding, to put that in there, they're crowdfunding. Yeah, to give them money. We'll talk about that in a sec. But anyway, the next one is called Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, and I've read the script, and it stars you and you and you and you and you, because you're going to be
Right?
playing multiple versions of yourself. Have you read the script yet?
Oh yes. Yep. And I highlighted my lines in different colors for each version of myself to try to help with that differentiation of the different versions. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I already asked Josh, I'm like, how are we going to film this? So it's going to take some trick photography, which I think will, obviously be kind of time consuming, but it'll be really cool to watch it happen and then to see it all at the end.
Yeah, yeah, because there's, just so you know, folks, there's going to be multiple versions of Allenby in this. Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs is a crossover of genres, not just, there's going to be a mirror universe, and there's going to be a prime universe, and there's going to be a Kelvin verse and an Avalon verse, but there's also going to be an Orville verse, if that's such a thing, and Babylon 5, and so all of these different versions of Commander Allenby, and you've got to keep them all straight to know, who's got what nuance. What do you do as an actor to prepare yourself when you're playing the same role but differently?
Um, well, so part of what I've done, like with the highlighting my lines, is the different colors to try to have the colors help me identify different things about the character's motivations and like a little bit about their background. So the one that's just regular Michaela Allenby, like in this other episode that we just did, I highlighted in blue because the uniform color is blue. And it's like, okay, so this is that Michaela. I know who she is. I know how she's motivated. And then one of the other ones I highlighted with yellow because I believe she's going to be wearing a gold uniform because she took a different route in life. And rather than being a science officer, she's actually much more higher ranking. And so that one's going to be a whole lot more like authoritative. And then there's another one that I highlighted with green because it's kind of like the evil-ish version of her.
And green is always good for evil.
Yes, always. And so just for me, color helps me identify different thoughts and emotions.
Okay, so and so when the camera starts rolling, and that you're going to be evil Allenby, the aspects that you bring to, because what it's really going for is that it's the same Allenby. It's all you, it's all Allenby, but at the same point in time, it has to be different enough that people are like, even if they didn't see the costume, they would have to know almost viscerally, this is that Allenby and this is that Allenby. And I'm really curious, as an actor, how you would do that, like even if you weren't wearing the costume. Do you hold yourself differently? And I'll let you have the microphone. You tell me what you could do.
No, I mean, physicality plays a huge role in it, of course. And your tone of voice as well. So like for the one who's higher ranking, like she will sound and look a whole lot more authoritative in how she carries herself, in the way that she speaks. And then like the evil one, I haven't really like played around with that one a whole lot yet, but like the way that she talks, I think probably a good word to describe it is perhaps syrupy. There will just be like this thickness to it because it is veiling the true intentions behind what she's trying to accomplish. And then of course, like body language will be something smaller, but still like evasive. I don't think slinky is the right word, but again, I need to play with it a little bit more, and I have some time to play
You
with
do
it.
have a little bit of time. I don't think Josh is planning on actually like starting to film that until, you know, winter time when it gets a little cooler.
Yes,
To
it
be
needs
honest,
to be a little bit cooler out. It's too hot right now.
yeah, it's way too hot right now. But it was kind of funny. There was a shoot at Warp 66 for the Federation Files, one of the other fan series that gets shot, and that particular day was like 95 degrees, and you know there's no air conditioning in some of those sets there at Glen Wolfson. So it was like way over 100, and you know I had a blog feature about, you know, how hot it was there. Little did I know the rest of the summer the entire earth would be heating up past that.
Yep.
We're all doomed.
It's a little toasty, just a little.
I saw this great thing on the news. There was that recent, I think it was the Netflix series of Don't Look Up, where apparently there's going to be like this meteor crashing into the earth, and you know, the small amount of people are trying to warn everybody, and it's all about ignoring it. You know, that the general public is just, you know, not paying attention to the fact that Earth is about to be destroyed. And there was this scene in the movie where they're on the news and they're basically saying, you know, we're in desperate trouble here, and the folks on the news are like, well, you know, we like to keep things light around here, you know, can you make a little joke about it? And like, no, seriously, the world's about to end.
Oh,
And so there was a very similar scene. This was life imitating art in Great Britain, where a few weeks ago somebody was talking about the upcoming heat wave and that people would be dying, and that it would actually be hot enough that there will be like mass deaths in Great Britain because of this heat. And the British person on the news, because it was the weather part of it, was like, you know, well, can you try to keep things a little, you know, lighter and you know, a little more fun? Of course, it's now a few weeks later and people are dying.
It was a surreal moment of life imitating art. A TV news clip about the extreme heat wave in the UK is drawing comparisons to the doomsday movie Don't Look Up. Here's the scene from the movie where a scientist is trying to make her voice heard.
Are we not being clear? We're trying to tell you that the entire planet is about to be destroyed.
Okay.
Well, it's, you know, just something we do around here. You know, we just keep the bad news light.
That was just a movie. This is not a British weather expert talking about people dying from crazy high temperatures in England and not being taken very seriously.
By early next week, you can scrap 20 degrees. It could well be 40 degrees. I think there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of excess deaths early next week.
So, John, I want us to be happy about the weather and every single... I don't know whether something's happened to meteorologists to make you all a little bit fatalistic and harbingers of doom.
You weren't expecting this during the interview, but it was... This is why you have to watch to the end, folks, you know, because sometimes it's stuff happens. Anyway, so the last thing I wanted to mention, obviously you were in front of a green screen right now. I know that you're at Josh's home studio there filming some stuff. Now, what are you filming right now?
we needed to do some ADR stuff for a few lines that just they weren't quite clear enough when we originally filmed them. So that's always fun, having to like line up your voice to your lips as you're like watching yourself.
Yeah, and actually, how do you do that? I mean, you're seeing your lips move, and you're trying to say it as fat. I mean,
Yeah. Yes. So, I mean, when I do it, I just like I listen to it a few times and like watch myself say it a few times. Probably try it out with myself once or twice before you record just several takes, because some of them are going to be on point, some of them are still going to be eh. But then like, you know, Josh has a few different ones to choose from. Could even slice them if absolutely necessary. But it's really fun when you're like, yes, I definitely nailed that one. Very satisfying.
that's the other thing you don't get to do on stage. If you say a line too
Oh,
quietly and the audience doesn't hear it, you're screwed. You can't go back and ADR it.
oh. Which then that, you know, that's part of the magic of theater too, is that it's a one time only. And every single time it will be ever so slightly different. But then that's the fun part about film is, oh, I can just watch this over and over and over again. So both have their own pros and cons and different aspects of beauty and art that I mean, I love both, honestly.
Yeah, what's not to love?
Exactly.
But the other thing I wanted to mention is, because Josh told me that we only had a limited amount of time because he still needs you for some other stuff, that the other thing you're about to do very shortly with that green screen is part of the ask video for the next Avalon Universe crowdfunder, right?
Mhm.
Which is
Yes.
already launched. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to practice that ask video by telling people right now why you, who've just gotten here and just taken over this role, why you think people should give their money to Josh to spend on all this wonderful stuff.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Yes, I am.
Oh, um, no, that's a really, honestly, it is a really good question because you know, anything that you put your money towards is an investment, right? And so when you offer somebody, particularly somebody who is in the arts, you are investing in them as a person, the other people that they work with, and then the final production of their art form, whatever art that happens to be. And art is honestly, it is a privilege to be able to pursue art and as a living and to create it and to share it with others. Artists are the people who they put all the color into the black and white worlds. So when you give an artist money, you are saying, yes, thank you. You have somehow impacted me through this beautiful thing that you created. And maybe you were moved by it in a way that, you know, it made you cry, or perhaps it made you laugh. It's all these different emotions and feelings that we have as humans, and is one of the things that we all connect with as humans as well, is the emotions that we share. And the medium of art enables us to share those in very intimate ways too, whether that be something like a painting or a love song or a Star Trek fan film. So, you know, maybe you are donating because you love Star Trek, or because you believe in the people who are making these fan films as well, because you are their friend or a family member, or even you don't know them and you're just like, yeah, absolutely, I love supporting the arts. Why wouldn't I help them with this? And yeah, I don't know. I think it goes back to the fact that art is something that humans, we all bond over, particularly in the emotional capacity. And that's a really uniquely human experience to be able to do that. I don't know, how's that answer?
Bravo, bravissima.
There you go.
author. No, that was absolutely wonderful. Now you get to do it again on Josh's ask video. Now you don't even need a script, you just figured it out.
There we go.
All righty, well, I do have to give you back to Josh so that, you know, he can have his way with your video. And I thank you very much for your time today, Alex. And once again, welcome to Star Trek Fan Films. I'm sure you're going to be a huge hit, and we're looking forward to seeing you in more stuff.
Yes, it was so good to talk with you, Jonathan. Thank you.
I had a great time. Thanks so much.